Toxic relationships and heartbreak. I have had my fair share of those, especially because I developed a very poor relationship with my father, who was the most formative male relationship in my life, and it led to me being in male relationships with very poor people who did not treat me as I deserved, because I was always having to fight in an unhealthy way for my father's love. I thought that that's what love was. So that was the feeling of comfort for me. So I looked for that mistreatment in a relationship. That's what I thought love meant. My first relationship, it's just high school, but it was a 4-year relationship, and it was very formative, was so highly toxic. He cheated on me all the time. I was bullied in the relationship because he was very popular. Other girls weren't happy I was dating him. So I was constantly bullied about the relationship. He actually handed me a bottle of pills once upon a time and told me I should take them and kill myself. I actually listened and took a bunch, even though I didn't actually want to kill myself. But again, toxic relationship. I was a kid. Obviously, this became a hot topic the next day when a bunch of people found out, and it was a very bad experience. I literally had to go to the hospital. I don't actually think I've ever spoken about this publicly. I'm sure if you were in my grade, you know what I'm talking about. But it was a very traumatic relationship, and I didn't even know how traumatic again until very recently, when I have learned that those are really not normal relationships. Getting cheated on all the time, not normal. Convincing your partner that is acceptable, that's okay for any reason, that's called mental and emotional abuse. And that was like the first of a bunch. I then had some that were not abusive, but they weren't anything special, right? I definitely was not with people that I deserved. And then after my, I wouldn't even say that my marriage was toxic. It was just wrong. We were wrong for one another. But I got into a very toxic relationship after my divorce. After my divorce, I was extremely vulnerable. I felt deep in love with someone 6 months after I officially, left the home with my husband. And I fell in love. And I got blindsided. We broke up. He was telling me I was his soulmate, but he needed to finalize his divorce, and he was going to come back for me. Long story short is, I was already devastated, first from all the things leading to my divorce, then that heartbreak. And then my assistant was killed in my car, leaving my birthday party 2 weeks later. You can listen to the clip about the accident if you want to hear that one. But the breakup and that car accident happens within 2 weeks of each other. And it was way too much for me to handle at once, again, coming fresh off divorce. And then, on top of it, he betrayed my trust very poorly and terribly during that exact time. And it was all too much to bear, and I couldn't quite understand how somebody I loved so much, somebody who claimed to love me, would do that to me. Especially when I was going through the most traumatic and tragic experience of my entire life. My assistant and dear friend had just died in my car leaving my birthday party. But I should have understood to never go back to him, right? I went back to him 4 times. Shame on, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. It was really a shame on me time 2, 3, 4, and 5. But had I been emotionally healthy, I would have been strong enough to not believe his lies, right? His, telling me things were going to be different, telling me he loved me, telling me everything I wanted to hear. But once we were in the relationship, doing none of that and enacting the same, problems that existed. And it was because he wasn't healed. I'm certain that I don't know, actually. Couldn't tell you if he loved me. He did some terrible things. I don't know if he loved me. I thought he loved me is the bottom line. And, in toxic relationships and abusive relationships, they tell you what you want to hear. They manipulate your mind. They tell you what you want to hear, but then they behave differently. But here's the thing. You cannot control their actions. When they have shown you their colors the first time, you should believe them. Unless they've done significant work on themselves, they likely have not changed, and the same problems are going to occur, okay? I am only in control of myself. I should never, he betrayed my trust. He lied to my face and did something literally disgusting, something I'm still dealing with to this day. During the worst, most traumatic moment of my entire life, right after my assistant died in my car. Who does that, okay? But it happened and I never should have gone back. Why would you ever go back to somebody like that? We are only in control of our own actions. When we are in toxic and abusive relationships, we cannot change the other person. We can only change ourselves. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, okay? Actions speak louder than words. You need to control yourself and leave the relationship, because if you choose to stay, it's honestly, you're responsible. You're the one who's gonna live in that bed. I hurt myself by going back to him over and over. I wasted 2.5 years of my life and developed serious trust issues, okay? And issues with, love, and it honestly was terrible for my abandonment issues. I kept on getting abandoned by him, so that, compounded my existing issues from my childhood. It was all bad, but you know whose fault it is? It's not his fault. He's an ass, okay? It's his problem. It's my fault. It was my fault. I was not strong enough to leave that relationship. If you are not getting what you deserve, which is support, kindness, love, help, affection, whatever else you need, it might be intelligence, humor, sex, whatever it is, but the basis of a relationship is a friendship and intimacy. Relationships are supposed to be beneficial in your lives. They're supposed to be there to lift you up and support you when you need help in life, because life is hard. If you are not getting that out of a relationship, it's time to move on. And yes, it's sad and it's hard to make changes, and you might be very comfortable. Maybe you have kids, maybe you're dependent on him financially, or them. But if you stay in an unhappy relationship, you're going to be unhappy. And unless you want to be unhappy, you need to make a change. So when dealing with heartbreak, it depends what kinds of heartbreak, but lean on your friends, lean on healthy coping mechanisms, talking about it to people you trust, a therapist, eliminating them from your life, getting whatever closure you need, but going for runs, healing creatively, meditating, working, putting positive things in the place of that relationship and healing it and mourning it and moving on. Because when we have love and we lose it, it does actually feel very often like a death. It's a serious loss. Divorce, ending of relationships, friendships, even if you have a toxic relationship with a sibling or a parent or a friend, you need to cut it out because it's bringing bad energy into your life. And that bad energy then affects all the other, tentacles of your life, your other relationships, your entire mood. Because if they're close enough, they're impactful enough. So you really need to be very conscientious about the energy you keep around you. You are the company you keep. And if company you keep brings bad vibes into your life, say, goodbye, I wish you well. Only have positive energy for them, wish that they heal, work on your self-healing. Take control of the situation for yourself. We cannot control other people's actions. We can only control ourselves. So take whatever actions you need, form the support system to move on from that toxic relationship, and don't let others' opinions or judgments of the situation affect your decision. You're the only person that sleeps in your bed at night, that has to live in your shoes, and they may not agree with how you feel, but that's their problem, and they should focus on their own lives.